Let's also get Dinshaw Irani, CEO at Helios Capital. And we have Ashok Sajjanhar, former ambassador, to talk about this entire scenario so far. Dinshaw, welcome to the show. Always a pleasure to speak to you on NDTV Profit. Hiral on the side. And welcome Ashok Sajjanhar also. Dinshaw, let me come to you. The way markets have reacted on the back of that commentary that there is going to be a conversation happening tomorrow when you talk about India-US trade deal. We've seen that spike, we've seen that recovery that's come in. How would you read into it?
So basically, Edel, thank you for having me on the show first, and a very good afternoon to you and your viewers. So the thing is that this is probably the only last block which is remaining in this whole rally that is expected in the market. So let's go back a bit and see how things are panning out, right? The problem with India earlier was high valuations and low growth rates. Now that problem was addressed by, understood by the central government and the RBI themselves, and they came up with a lovely policy for loosening the fiscal as well as monetary controls as such. And that has, in fact, culminated into the September quarter, which saw earnings growth picking up and picking up quite appreciably. I mean, a 15% growth on the broadest of indices, and S&P 500 is not a bad deal at all. And the only thing now holding back the FIS probably would have been the deal, because that itself will indicate a lot of positivity to them as such, that US is opening up to India. They're looking at India benignly. And because please understand that 50% duty, India and probably Brazil are the only two countries suffering from that. And I don't see any reasons now, hearing Sergio Gore's statement, that things are looking positive there, and probably that at least that 25% penal duty that was tariff that was imposed on India, hopefully that should go away.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sajjanhar. Question is, now this entire delegation which actually has come in from Saturday, he has actually taken this office also, and now on Monday itself a major commentary coming in from Sergio Gore. So what kind of timelines we can expect? How does these processes work?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on the show. I think this statement coming from Sergio Gore is very welcome, because the US-India trade and the market sentiment has really been in the downturn since the beginning of August last year, when these first the 25% tariffs were imposed, and then another 25%, which are not really tariffs, but they're sanctions. Sanctions because India is buying this oil from Russia. We have termed these sanctions as uncalled for and unfair, because there are other countries which are buying more oil from Russia, like China and some of the others, and even United States itself is trading with Russia. But no sanctions, no penalty tariffs have been imposed on them. So his statement coming at this time is a very welcome statement. I think the markets have taken particular note of it. If a new ambassador comes, and particularly from the United States, whatever he or she says would be taken taken note of by the markets. But Sergio Gore's statement is particularly welcome, because he is seen to be very close to President Trump. And at least the 25% tariffs that have been imposed on account of the import of Russian oil, that has nothing to do with trade, that has nothing to do with any trade surplus that India has. But that is because of President Trump's peak at India, his personal, that's a political sanction. And Mr. Trump himself, over the last few months, has stated several times, that India is reducing its offtake of oil from Russia. So I think those 25% tariffs should definitely go. Second point, we have had about 5-6 rounds of trade negotiations. As I understand that the trade deal is ready. It is really in the final stages. It has been in the final stages for a long time, but only Mr. Trump is required to sign off on it. And if Sergio Gore can, with his personal connections to Mr. Trump, can persuade Trump to sign off on it, I think that will be a huge boost, not only to India-US bilateral trade, but I think also in terms of the trust quotient between the two countries, which has been very severely eroded and suffered over the last 6-7 months. So I'm happy that the statement has come. Negotiations will again start tomorrow. That's what Sergio Gore has said. And let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that there's a positive outcome to which Mr. Trump can put his signature.
Right, right. Definitely a positive statement coming in. But Dinshaw, I would want to ask you, given the fact that since this 50% tariffs have been imposed, we have not seen any major impact coming in our export number. So even if this trade deal or trade deal announcement gets delayed a bit, do you think any other trigger that would be important for the market, say earnings growth from here on, because Q3 numbers are also starting from today?
So if you guys remember, if you remember that the FIS selling actually started sometime in September of 2024. That is when we had hit peak valuations and our earnings growth was tapering down, right? That continued for the next 4 quarters, in fact, the earnings growth. However, the FIS selling abated sometime in March and April beginning, yeah, and then it started picking up again. And then came the July-August period when this further 25% duty was imposed on us. And after that, you've seen the selling again. So I, in my mind, have no doubts that FII is selling, though there's not much impact on exports of Indian goods. But please understand that they were being now tariffed at 50%. And obviously, there's an impact on the profitability of the goods and goods which are getting exported. So most of these companies were compromising on this. Their margins had come down and stuff like that, which is obvious from the results which came out, right? So that was the second one. So basically the FIs have been selling once this duty was imposed, the penal duty was imposed. And obviously the margins too of the companies which are exporting as a compromise today are coming off. So if this duty reversal happens, secondly, I mean, two things that will work out is obviously sentiment positive for the FIs, and obviously the companies which are right now suffering some kind of a hit on their margins because they're compromising on their sales prices. This obviously the costing also will come off a bit for them and they'll become more profitable. Apart from that, obviously, I don't think the domestic consumption in any way is impacted. As I said, it's always a sentiment which is sent out to the world, where the signal sent out to the world is where the problem is. And obviously, when this turns around, it will be positive for us. And domestically, to anyway, our demand continues to be strong. Things are picking up on the domestic consumption place, so I have no doubts there.
Okay, so, domestic story is pretty strong. Exports is something that we look at. Dinshaw and Ashok Sajjanhar, thank you so much for joining us on the show. It's always a pleasure.